Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the greatest player of all time in the red, the finisher. It's Serral. Up against the Polish Terran in the blue, we have Spirit. In a best-of-5 Terran versus Zerg showdown in the new StarCraft 2 balance patch. And while Serral might be in pole position to take out anyone who isn't Clem, I think this poll has a chance to turn things around. And just one quick poll before we get started. Have you yet smashed that like button? And maybe even subscribed. And Jimmy, what are we at? No, you can't cringe. 1,496 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one. And, well, especially Serral's still playing, I'll probably do it anyways. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get a little bit better than these initial... Well, grenades cut both ways. I mean, it is a grenade. Bounces his own Reaper back. Queen pops out, politely yet very firmly. Asks that Reaper to leave, and Serral has already grabbed the third base. We'll be slapping down a creep tumor against the rocks, and with the Reaper taking so much damage, some of it to itself early on, it won't be able to challenge it. Gonna take a few pot shots on the third base, but we're on King's Cove. Welcome back from an old and now new map pool. The largest map in the entire pool, even larger than the spawning pool. So I expect, especially considering the nature of both these players, a very advanced late game. Now, will we have any sort of skirmishes back and forth? I think that's more up to Spirit. Serral, especially against players who he thinks he's better than. So, all of them. Okay, once again, Clem, but is more than likely to sit back and just build up and react. The quintessential Zerg. Adapt and overcome. And when you have this much space and this many bases to work with, there's plenty of room for adaptation. Meanwhile, Spirit, also well known for being that sort of late game, especially against Zerg. The Ghosts, the Liberators, the Planetaries, everything the YouTube comments absolutely love to complain about or get... well... There's one thing I don't think the YouTube comments complain about very much.
Successful.
You can tell me, though. Because there's a fusion core on the way. Battle cruisers. Yes, battle cruisers. Not advanced ballistics, but a fusion core to start things off. Game 1, he's going to break out the capital ships. Unfortunately, he literally built the fusion core under vision of the Overlord. So Serral has seen this since the moment he broke ground for it. And now we're going to see the most comprehensive and well-tailored response to the battlecruiser that we possibly could. So a few major changes that affect this sort of interaction. The Queen now costs 175 minerals. The Spore Crawler does 5 more damage a hit, 15 to 20, but it has 100 less HP, 400 to 300. The net result being, battlecruisers can actually kill spores even quicker before they do as much damage. And it's a more realistic option, especially if they get Yamato. Now, I kind of doubt that Spirit will commit hard to the battlecruiser when it becomes very apparent. Wow, the spores are so well timed out. Not building them until he knows the battlecruiser can complete. It's going to be mech entirely. So, battle cruisers into 2 more factories. McDonald's coming together. Spire begins, because Hydras are not an anti-air unit. They barely cosplay as one. The Queens will have to hold the metaphorical line from the ground to the air until the Spire is completed. So, we'll see. That first battle cruiser going to be so important. If Serral's able to knock it out of the sky, yeah, we see a jump to the back, but the Overlord is in position to spot it as well. Overseer comes through. We'll confirm that this is indeed Meccan. Brenda, call... Well, they're already here. They can hear you. You don't need to be so loud. Why is it that we have to pay $75.75 for each Nidus Worm, and they can just teleport their massive capital ships for free? Because they're Terran, Susan. Okay? They get the cool stuff. That doesn't seem fair. Sorry. Wow, he's building more. Okay. It is a battlecruiser build outright. Spirit relying on the sheer distance between the bases in order to keep him safe against any sort of counterattack. Serral, deflected, has lost a grand total of 1 Overlord so far, which is not very much for those counting at home. Not a single drone. The Hellions jam themselves into the corner. SCV's somewhat vulnerable. Hellions get surrounded. And the battlecruiser, oh my, the queens are almost able to take out. The entire queen's mood is gathering. 10 queens, all of them chasing things down. So Serral deflected and almost outright eliminated the first battlecruiser. The counterattack forced all the Hellions back, and now he's got plenty of opportunity. We're gonna go to the Serral cam for just a split second. I think we jumped to the Spirit cam because it'd be kind of weird if Serral had Cyclone voice lines happening, but you know, I wouldn't put it past him. Adding the creep spread on, he's got the gases at the third, he's working on a fourth, a fifth, took a look around, it's certainly, wow. He loses vision on the other side of the map, immediately makes a new overseer. Very clear the priorities here for Serral. There are 2 cruisers on the field, but the queens are well positioned, and if he jumps, he's kind of pinned back. Did that spire complete? It did. But because he's so comprehensively shut down the battlecruisers, it's not nearly as much of an obligation to build those corruptors early. He's still building them, but he has 88 drones, a full 4 base economy, and once Roach Speed finishes, this Hellclone Battle Mech army is, well, it's in trouble, potentially. Wow, the mag field accelerator finished. Does it add damage when it's already locked on? I think it might, because it adds about 50% more damage to that lock-on ability. And the lock-on already does plenty. Can easily take out a queen if it remains in range. Overseer speed, well, Overlord speed is done. Gonna scout all the way through and see a full breakdown. We've got 5 factories, more battlecruisers. Yamato cannon is on the way as Spirit continues to pump the battlecruisers out. We got 6 swarm hosts in production for Serral. A Nidus network. Peas in a pod. Actually, quite literally peas in a pod. About the most accurate. Peas in a pod in another pod. Let's not go too far with it. But 10 swarm hosts. Sir Richard and his merry band of swarm host brethren. Not an accident, but instead one of the best ways to cost-effectively keep the pressure on. But here come the corruptors. Tactical jump is online. Gets out before any of the battlecruisers are taken down, but Serral, how has he not lost a drone? He's been up against Hellions, battlecruisers, Cyclones. We're 9 minutes in, he hasn't lost a drone. 89 drones overall. Hive tech is already online. Adrenal glands, +2 ranged attack, +2 melee. Baneling speed as well. But does he have any idea? The corruptors are heading around the north side. The roaches, raffiders, and zerglings around the left. Spirit has no knowledge whatsoever. He has no preparation. He's going to be blindsided by the locusts like a plague upon his natural. And some SCVs will go down. He might be able to delay the command center. The corruptors are spraying through the base. Not able to take it out. But Serral somehow keeping the pressure on despite... Spirit has built the battle mech composition. It's supposed to be the mobile army. Sure, it's a bit unwieldy, but compared to like Thors and Hellbats, they're positively spry. But right now, Serral is doing everything he can to manipulate these very kind of... Oh, he heard it. You could actually hear it if you have your headphones on, and I assume Serral does, which direction the Nidus comes from. Every single swarm host gets out before the Nidus is incinerated. The corruptors are on the run. My gabbers are plastic right now at how efficient Serral has been. He's going to lose some Zerglings, going to lose a few queens, but the locusts come in again. The battle cruiser's on home defense duty, which is certainly not their ideal scenario. Another Nidus. He's using the corruptors for Nidus vision and also to keep the pressure on the bases. Without Marines to maneuver around, he has to move the Cyclones or battlecruisers. That base is melting. The damage ramps up after a few seconds. He just pulls back another Nidus. But the Nidus over to the left flank. The battle group of swarm hosts. A gaggle of swarm hosts over there. Thing is, though, Spirit is maxed out. Wow, Serral has so much money at the bank. I'm not talking about his prize money either. Greater Spire is on the way. Neural Parasite, a key option. Part of the reason Battle Mech is good is because Infestors. Well, Neural Parasite with Infestors is not nearly as dangerous either if you're not going for the ghosts. Of course, there are still battlecruisers, still siege tanks, Serral Festers have been nerfed. It feels like infestors have been nerfed like 3 or 4 times, specifically because of Serral. But they're still incredibly strong, and Serral seems to be the best at making them work. Another Nidus. That one's within sensor tower range, but there's not much Spirit can do at this point. He's building more and more battlecruisers to deal with this. A Ghost Academy on the way, 2 barracks in order to produce those ghosts. The swarm hosts are in between the bases. A nice volley of lock-ons will actually knock out a few of the early units. There are infestors somewhere. Oh, the swarm host from the back! What a flank by Serral! And he rains down the locust. He's gonna take out the majority of the siege tanks. And the siege tanks are what keep the infestors at bay. And now... Well, I lied. There's no infestors, unless they died. I'm sure we're going to see them eventually. But the siege tanks... Only a handful on the field. 3 siege tanks in total. Yamato cannons finally coming online. Broadside, but the corrosive bile melts through before the battlecruiser could even jump away. Another volley. Too late. Another one. 2 for 2. Serral knocking down the cruisers out of the sky. Corrosive bile actually landing because Spirit locked himself down with the Yamato cannon cast time. He baits the battlecruisers out of position and all the defense, and then comes in with the Locust, which will maximize the damage. And I'm not really sure who's the aggressor here. Spirit should be the one. He has the Battle Mecha army. He needs to be out in Serral's face and trying to take efficient trades with an incredibly strong army composition. But Serral is using these relatively mundane units in order to keep Spirit back. Spirit has yet to win a fight, despite having some of the most cost-effective units in the game. This is not how it's supposed to work. Does he not have a jump? Another battlecruiser knocked down, doesn't even fire off the cannon. Tactical jump and Yamato cannon on cooldown. Another cruiser knocked out of the sky, and the fleet has been removed from the game. A single battlecruiser remains. One just popped out, but the Banelings roll through. Oh, the Hellions exposed, and all hell breaks loose. The Banelings crash through the planetary fortress, and Serral now has 7,000 minerals, 3,000 gas in the bank. He is maxed out. He's building more Zerglings, which I assume will be Banelings. Spirit still has a very strong army supply, but not so slowly, yet very surely. Serral is bashing him apart. The caustic spray, outraged, he has to pick up. Yamato cannon is ready, but the corruptors go out, the locusts come in. Serral again with a wombo combo. The income has been in his favor for effectively 10 plus minutes, and the game hasn't been much more than that. Spirit is still nearly maxed out. His army supply is massive. His upgrades, +3, +2 mech. Serral has 0 carapace upgrades. Well, the only units the carapace upgrades are really useful against are the siege tanks and, to an extent, the battlecruisers. Because Hellions are just going to either incinerate things or do nothing, depending on the unit they're hitting. The Cyclones, their lock-on is spell damage, so armor means nothing. And the Ghosts, of course, are going to snipe. So the carapace upgrade's by far the lowest priority, especially considering the majority of the units that are actually fighting heads up are either corruptors in the air or swarm hosts with their locusts from afar. Broodlords are on the way. The double Nidus, Yamato cannon, but he dodges it with the worm. Does that put it on cooldown? Yes. I don't think I've ever seen that exact scenario, at least not in a pro game. Maybe like 4v4. You know, probably in 4v4, but Serral at 203 supply. Doing some extractor trick, well, not extractor, probably sporcher trick action. And the Infestor Broodlord underneath the Ghost trying to line up the snipes, but smoothly bringing the Infestors in turn. He's got all the pieces of the puzzle. The Infestor obliterated, came a little too close, but the Planetary's done. This is still a very dangerous army out of Spirit. Lines up a couple snipes, even the Cyclones getting involved. Fungal's very good again. Oh, but the Locust from the right... Where? I didn't even hear the Nidus, because there was no Nidus. He just walked there on his stubby little swarm host legs. Speaking of stubby legs, 5 Thors at a time. Spirit still has the 4th base and plenty of command centers, which means he still has an economy, despite the fact that Serral has over 9,000 minerals and 4,700 gas. There's still an opportunity to break out. He has a very anti-Broodlord army. The only thing stopping him are these infestors. Yamato Cannon knocks out a Brood. He could neural. Yep, turns it around. Another Nidus. And Corrosa stands still. Awkwardly, there's literally no other anti-air. But Microbial Shroud... Ah, he was using Rapid Fire and accidentally tabbed to his infestors. And Corrosive Biomicrobial Shroud are the same hotkey. So even Serral makes mistakes, like using Microbial Shroud at any point. Ah, but it was buffed! It now sticks to units for a few seconds after you leave it. Yeah, but now you wasted your infestor energy on anything on Microbial Shroud. Tom and Jerry, the double Viper production. Serral's requisite too. Oh no, looking the other way, the ghost slide up the shot. Serral distracted for just a moment. He's gonna lose a couple Broodlords. Meanwhile, still every single Swarm host has lived. And Spirit is forced. He just slaps down a Nidus. He killed a command center on the ground. He's building a Nidus underneath the command center at the natural. The Broodlords are still going to work. He's brought Spore Crawlers up to protect the Nidus Swarm. Vipers on the field. Binding Cloud and Fungal. Could certainly be quite a wombo combo. Another wave of Corrosive Bile. Raining down. The Broodlords and the Swarm hosts just continue their barrage. Serral at 11,000 mineral, 6,000 gas. But Spirit, there's a non-zero chance. As the bank gets higher and higher, it gets... Serral is... Well, a nuclear missile is one way to potentially turn it around. Let's go to the Serral cam. Oh, yeah. He spots it. Immediately. And in fact, he's already got the... Brenda, no! He saved the drones, but the Queen... Serral's no god. And if he was, he still wouldn't save the Queen. The fact that he's been... Oh my. 10,000 resources. Almost 50% more cost-effective against endgame mech Terran is obscene. The Ghost finally starting to land some shots. So the nuke did nothing, but it kind of opened up the map. Serral actually came back. It kind of reset the tempo of the game. And now Spirit won a small battle. The Banelings are going to strike back. Throws out a Fungal or two. The Vipers overhead. EMPs, though, actually misses the mark on the Vipers. Planetary obliterated. Another Nidus, an escape Nidus potentially if he needs it. There's still a couple Brood... The single Broodlord. Doing its very best, and the Thor carried over. Yeah. Well, it's trying. Thor easily knocks it out of the sky. Another Nidus. Another wave. He still hasn't lost a Swarm host. It's obscene. Like, it's madness. The closest thing to a mistake, I would say, was losing the Broodlords. But honestly, now that there are this many Thors, I think Serral actually... He might not want to lose his Broodlords, but he doesn't mind it. Because against Mass Thor, having a large ground army full of units is actually better. Like having Zerglings, Ravagers, Banelings, that doesn't give the Thor any sort of great options. And while Mass Thor is an incredibly cost-effective composition, right up until they borrow some of your Thors. And Serral does have Infestors, but Thors and Ghosts are the composition. Adrenal glands is done. The fact that Serral has more upgrade to Zerg. They just keep getting into the natural. Liberator's on the field now. Whips out the corrosive biles. Gets a fungal on the ghost to cover his retreat. The swarm hosts are just popping out in the natural now. Going into the main as the siege continues. He is peeling Spirit apart. He's being spirited away right now. It's a campaign mission. And right now, Spirit, it's absolutely brutal. It's a nightmare, even. Blinding Cloud hits the missile turret. It will still hit the Vipers if they're directly overhead. Serral actually dodges the missile turret, understanding that, which is a hilarious attention to detail. The Zerglings take out some more tanks. Spirit is still somehow at 140 army supply, but he's got absolutely no money left. This is a masterclass in vivisection right now. Spirit is the 4th ranked Terran in the world. Clem, Maru, beyond Spirit. Well, I mean, the difference between Clem and Maru we've already seen. But here, between Serral and Spirit, at no point has it looked like Spirit has had a dream. Now, who knows? That is an army composition that one bad fight... He killed a swarm host! Everything's going horribly wrong. The turntables have turned, and DJ Spirit is ready to drop a beat on Serral. Or beat Serral, or something like that. Beat Saber. No, that doesn't work. Now that the swarm hosts, 5 swarm hosts have died. But then again, this unit composition, swarm hosts are great against siege tanks, and they're great against someone who's entrenched on planetaries. Again, like, it feels like Serral does not mind. I don't think he lost them on purpose. But at the same time, I don't think he's going to rebuild them either. So, the Zerglings, the natural's just wide open. He's cut through, carved a path. And the legacy of the swarm host will live on as Spirit just simply doesn't have the money to rebuild. He has one of the strongest Terran armies you could ever build. Math, 8 Thors, 8 Cyclones, 10 Ghosts. He even has decent upgrades for the Ghosts. He has more army supply than Serral. But the question will be how many Thors Serral has by the end of... Oh, Cyclones are very good against Cyclones, and also very good against Thors. Fun fact. Since Thors, once again, it's just spell damage. He borrows a Thor. Serral now has 2 Thors. And he's trying to target, but he has to get close to target the Infestors. Blinding Cloud. Another Thor targeted. Grabs another one, and he grabs a ghost. And now Serral, stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself. Corrosive vials just melt through another Thor. 8 Ultralists. Oh, the finishing move. He's just gonna drop 8 Ultralists from the top rope. And he has enough money to build like 20 more if he wants to. He doesn't have the supply for it. And I think, for the very first time in quite a while of professional StarCraft 2, the Ultras are the right move. Then again, he doesn't need to go. Oh my god, he's got Lings burrowed. Serral needs to stop smurfing in professional tournaments. From the very start... Now, Spirit has had a very rough game. The very start, the fusion core was spotted the moment it started. For the battlecruiser. Like, it could have got much worse. Another planetary dead. The main base is overrun. The Cyclones fighting in the streets. And the Ultras. The Ultras. Does he have his upgrades? Of course he does. He's been setting up for this for, well, as long as it took. Still over 9,000 minerals. Grabs the siege tank. There's nothing to stop him from neural parasiting. He can grab the Liberator too, or just knock it out with Corrosive Bell. Ghost line up a snipe, pop an Ultra. With Spirit, we've been watching. This is the longest death animation. All right. There's more death animations than Diablo 4 here. I'm still very annoyed at how, like, 3/4 of Diablo 4's plotline is furthered by people who are waiting to die so they can tell you their last words. You know, by the 7th time, it got a little old. Unlike most of the characters, apparently. Especially that one at the very end who died in the dumbest way I've ever seen. I've seen some dumb ways. In-game. Not this game. Well, also this. Moving on. Ultra's just chewing through. Spirit's still with a weirdly high, not really weirdly, but his army is still so incredibly strong. But I think this map rolls over into just too much. Like, Serral just had so much space to work with. He couldn't kill Spirit. But eventually, he can just whittle him down and smother him. One planetary at a time. The Ghosts line up a volley. Getting close to that army without infestors is actually devastating. So Serral actually loses a lot of supply there. He's gonna lose a lot of infestors. That's all it takes. Like, if this game was 15 times closer, that would have been an actually decisive fight for Spirit. Unfortunately, he's been on life support for quite a while. But the very first... Wow. So, they've been fighting for 7 minutes straight. That's what the battle report tracks whether units have died. And if a unit doesn't die for 30 seconds, it resets. So for 7 minutes, we've been battling. Cyclones. There's still enough army supply for Spirit to feel like he's has an opportunity. 149 SCVs dead. 650 Zerglings. The Infestors coming up. The Ghosts. The Ultra sniped. Target firing, but the Vipers come in. And Serral just has too much. What an exhaustive victory. How many planetaries? 7 planetaries annihilated. 3 orbitals, 2 command centers, 37 clones. When do you ever see a Zerg be significantly more cost-effective than a mech Terran who's able to get maximum upgrades? The answer is you don't. Or you just did for the first time. Wow. That was, one of those, like, oh, so just perfectly time and patiently control Brood Lords, Infestors, Swarm Host, Nidus with great creep spread, Corrosive Bile, and, like, simply juggle all of this. Incredibly impressive. And ridiculously intimidating. I think Spirit, he kept having the right art, like, he kept having enough stuff. And it feels, against anyone else, you just move across the map and you take good trades because that's the army. Like, you got Thors, you got Ghosts, what more do you want? Apparently Serral wanted the same things. And the problem is, it's like he was tied to the tracks as the Serral train slowly came across them. He knew it was coming. He knew the neural parasites were going to happen. He knew the Ravagerling Bane was all over the place, and he couldn't stop it. That was the most Serral game I've seen in a while. That's the first game, I think, on this new patch that I've seen that, like, really reminded me of why we've nerfed the Infestor, why we've nerfed all these units several times over. Because against everyone who isn't Clem. Wow. I think Spirit building the... You can't build the fusion core at the edge of the base. That was a bit negligent. The Overlord, Serral especially, but most Zergs will have the Overlord in that kind of dead space position. Unless he was intentionally trying to play like the double mind game of, I'm pretending like I'm hiding a battlecruiser rush, but I really want you to overreact to a battlecruiser rush. But those were some of the most impotent battlecruisers. He didn't kill a single drone. He invested in the jewel of the Terran fleet. He built an entire flotilla of capital ships, and he didn't kill a drone. Like, I think he got a queen, which we will avenge, but that was... Also the patience. Like, it seems so obvious how to do it, but that was like 15 minutes of dismay. Because that Terran army is not something you can take on directly. Not until there's nothing to back it up. I don't think Spirit will go straight into mech again. Like, I think he was also playing the map. The sheer size of the map. The sheer amount of bases. The distance. Battlecruisers, somewhat paradoxically, one of the best units on large maps, despite how slow they are. Because obviously they're actually not slow. They can teleport. In fact, they are arguably the fastest unit in the game. Not even Warp Gate works faster than a tactical jump, so... No, Reaper. Gonna flirt with the Zerglings for a while. Queen pops out. This is a message from the Hatchery Owners Association. All right, you, sir, we don't appreciate your activities here. All right, I want you to go home and rethink your life. Yeah, you tell him, Brenda. Oh, shut up, Susan. Sorry. Did that work the last 100% of the games with the Reapers? Did they stop coming back? Is that, like, did the Reapers no longer... Oh, shut up, Susan! I don't... Third command center on the way. Creep poking out. Frostline is almost a direct opposite. Like, a third less bases, a third less rush distance, wide open, third and fourth. Not wide open, but significantly, you don't have a big platform with an obvious choke point protecting your bases. Like, Winter, well, what is this? It's definitely an easier location to attack than on King's Cove as well. Also, the fourth base is not protecting, or not protected by the third. Another reason why King's Cove is so incredibly defensive. Banshee on the way. Stim already in production. Is he showing that to the Overlord? Or does he really want that Stim that quick? He starts Cloak. It's a fake. I mean, maybe not. But the fact that he got a Banshee and Stim, unless he's gonna do some crazy tech swerve here. Huh. We will see. Second Banshee on the way. Alright. Immediately upon killing the Overlord, slaps down another barracks at the reactor. He's still building Cloak, so he may actually be going that direction. But didn't want to give away the exact timing on his barracks production. Meanwhile, Serral has his lair on the way. Poking in. Hellions. Oh, they don't even get the creep tumor. Fourth base along the line. Interesting, Serral chooses that one instead of the triangle base. He has been focusing the creep out in that direction. Not sure how much that factors in. 4 racks on the way simultaneously. Baneling nest for Serral. It is going to be a big marine swell. The question is, are we angling for an early game timing, like Stim and Combat Shield completing? Or is this more of a Octo-Rex tank push sort of situation as that siege tank begins? The Banshees pre-cloak. Does Serral see him? He's got an Overseer at the 4th. He's got Spore Crawlers. Banshees will pick off a few drones. Decent start. And no Overseer nearby, but now that they're spotted, he can redirect the Overseer. He's got his Queen battle groups. Serral always likes to have 3 Queens and, well, in this case, an Overseer, but poking out on both sides of the creep. Enough Queens to make sure Hellions and Banshees can't pick them off, but not committing everything. Already angling for a 5th hatchery, which seems like quite a stretch, but where did the 3rd Queen? Oh, there we are. In fact, he even has different... Serral is the only player I've seen with 3 control groups of Queens. He has 5 control groups right now, and 3 of them are Queens. And they're all different Queens, too. Some of them injects, some of them defense. Like, I mean, probably at least half of early game Zerg is reliant entirely on the Queen, so... And the rest... 80 drones, 69 SCVs. Nice economies for both sides. So far, the tally is 3 drones, 3 Zerglings, and an Overlord. But now, Spirit, jamming that tank into the corner. It's spotted here. The Queen's actually going to fight it heads up. Queen's trying to... Well, oh no. Oh no, Serral's wrapping around. But he doesn't have the upgrades. The Queens take out the siege tank, and oh no! The Baneling's crashing in. The second group of Queens comes up, and Serral just smashes it. A little far forward. It looked like a good position, but Serral didn't flinch. And he crushes the first wave. Though, very importantly, he didn't do any sort of counterattack. He hasn't done any economic damage. And Spirit is maintaining an upgrade advantage. He's got 2-2 already started. So, targets a few of the Banelings. Well done. Another one. Another one. Another one. And with 1-1 completing for the Zerglings and Banelings, he can't quite stand his ground, but whittles things down. Whittle mine. Decent hit. Rest cleaned up, though. Spirit starting to lose track of things. Whittle mine's getting okay hits. Spirit trying to put the pressure on Serral, force him to make a mistake. And the Whittle mines can definitely take advantage of that lack of focus. But, of course, they're a double-edged grenade, as we've already established, so... Hive Tech is already on the way. 5 more drones for Serral. Overseer. A Queen taken out. Overseer nowhere nearby. Not sure where it ended up. Well, he's cleaning up the Whittle mines. So, an Overseer. He's got his infestation pit over at this 4th base. Just wanted to make sure he could slap it down. So, kind of a vulnerable location. He's already started the Hive, though. It's not like the infestation pit is a major point once you get that done. Meanwhile, Whittle mine dragged out. But the Marines, no Banelings, means the Marines are starting to take a better trade, and now Spirit has taken the supply lead. A Queen almost targeted down, another Whittle mine on the way. Queen's fighting heads up against the Bio Army. Target firing, and more Queens assassinated, oh no! And actually, Spirit making a lot of progress now. As Serral losing almost a King Henry of Queens so far, but... starting to stabilize, and he hasn't lost any bases. He's working on 2-2. Spirit hasn't finished his upgrades yet. Adrenal Glands begins immediately. Marauders as well. Added in to absorb as much of the Banelings as possible. Widowmine dragged out into the front line. Knocks a medevac out of the sky with friendly fire. Serral retakes the supply lead for now. 2-2 upgrades about to complete for Spirit, but the Zergling count is so damn high. The last Marauder overrun. And with, well, the double drop, what's left of it, the dregs of this army. Serral splits his forces. Wow. The bunker ensconced. And ends up dying to just enough Banelings. He set up that nice little bunker, but Banelings crash right through it and get a few of the supply. Wait, whoa. All right. Looks like we were going through a tropical lag storm there for a moment. We don't wait for anyone here, not even to smash that like button and subscribe. We don't mind. Not quite. Drilling Claws is done. There's a few moments before Serral finishes 2-2 in Adrenal Glands. I don't think Spirit is close enough to any key locations to take full advantage of them. Splitting off some more. Widowmine looking for a target. Finally finds one. Serral finishes +2 melee, working on +2 carapace. Spirit is on the run. And the medevacs will be forced to pick up and get out. He actually heads... No, he's coming back home. Another medevac taken out of the sky and attempted a Widowmine drop. Doesn't work out. Widowmines eat a few more of the Zerglings. 3 Vipers on the way. Now I desperately want to know if he's going to cancel one, if you even notice. Oh, and the 3rd base has to lift. A 4th base is done for Serral. But Spirit unable to put the pressure on. The Bio Army in Autumn colors takes out a Queen Stims again. Oh, he's going to take out a hatchery. But there's more hatcheries where that came from. The Vipers have completed. Serral has 120 Zerglings on the field. And though the SCVs ripped apart. Another planetary. He's trying to save some of the SCVs, but he picks some of them up into the command center nearby. Serral running all the way through Spirit's base. Spirit dropping Serral's. 40 SCVs left. These Zerglings having a tough time against the Marine count. And Serral is reconsolidating his forces. He still has 73 drones to 40 SCVs, and Spirit has lost so many command centers and so many depots. Oh no. A medevac. Still full of Marines. Parasitic bomb. And the Vipers are here. A Zergling. Too cute to land on. The medevac shouldn't quite die to those parabombs, but I think there were some SCVs in there. The army supply, again, still kind of... Oh my god, the Widowmine's getting devastating hits. And the Banelings, oh, not quite. Not quite for Spirit. The Widowmines actually got massive connections, but there was still plenty left over. It was too little, and it was too late. And now Spirit. Zerglings are in the natural. There's nothing left on the map. And Serral has 100 Zerglings bearing down. A valiant effort, but again, Serral able to translate his advantage into a victory significantly more quickly, both because of Spirit's unit composition and the map. The Widowmines take it out medevacs. 3-3 now done for the Lings. Parasitic bomb. GG. Serral with a much cleaner victory. A decisive one. And a strong effort out of Spirit. But you give him an inch, he'll take a kilometer. Serral, the fact that Queens took out the first tank in the tank push, even if he ended up losing a lot to the medevacs and the drops, blunting the force of that first push has exponential consequences. If you're able to maintain 5 bases and 80 drones, there is one Terran player out there who can deal with that level of Zerg. And Spirit, he had the quantity, but the quality wasn't quite enough. We're going to Neon Violet Square, of all maps. For Game 3, Serral on match point. And so far, with a decisive advantage. But if we're going to see mech again, alright, if he's gonna mech it happen, well, all these older maps are incredibly well suited to it. Not sure why Neon Violet Square, King's Cove, and Abyssal Reef are the 3 maps that have made it back into the pool. But they are the 3 largest maps with the most bases and the most defensive macro play of the entire map pool. I would say maybe not El Dorado, but El Dorado is made for some of our most intense mid games because of that kind of southern area where you're forced into fighting each other in a relatively cramped location. Whereas Neon Violet Square, you literally have a pocket base, which is almost unheard of. Now, oh, Serral was setting up his overlord locations. Looking at the little mini-map cams there. Can sometimes give away. You see him setting up and rotating through their camera locations sometimes. Looking like crazy people. And they are. I think to play at this level, you have to be at least a little insane. There's a happy balance. The neon violet squares. Most units can get through them. I think units like Thor's, like units that have larger hitboxes, like Thor's, your Mother, Ultralisk, are going to struggle, but I doubt we're going to see too much of any of those. Pretty sure Ravagers can be, if Archons can. Though Archons were recently as in like 2 years ago, buffed to not get walled off as easily. I guess in relative terms, that is quite recent. Now, will Serral take his third? I don't think he'll take the pocket. For Zerg, it's not a particular advantage. The key part of the pocket base, you only have 4 mineral patches, but 2 gas casters. A lot of the times, pocket bases will have plenty of minerals, but not much gas. So this is a split from that. It allows you to get a huge amount of tech, even more safely than usual. We'll see if Spirit takes advantage of it. Definitely worthy for Terran to take that early on, as mineral income isn't usually the issue, because mules exist. What are you doing with the Reaper? He actually scouted to the back. What could be back there? A Zergling, maybe? I don't know. Huh. Just taking a look around. I mean, the Reaper comes out so late. I believe... well... Was there no SCV scout, right? No. He hasn't seen anything. He's just looking for wherever the Zerglings are, but Serral is literally in the corner. Waiting for the Reaper to come by. Gonna poke in, though there will be Hellions out, so... Starport on the way. Will it be battle cruisers again? I think we didn't get a fair shake there. The battle cruisers being spotted from well before they even started construction that was the literal worst case scenario you could ever have for battle cruisers. And Serral took full advantage. Stim is already on the way, as well as a Viking. And it looks like Spirit is not intending on taking the back base. He built his command center towards the front. So he may just be trying to take that front side. Hellions filtering through the squares. Overlord coming in right around 420. Looking to see if he's going to continue blazing through with the Hellions or switch into Bio. And Bio it is. Overlord, there's no hiding this. The Overlord spots 2 more barracks. It spots a reactor on the starport. Serral knows what he's dealing with plenty of time to build a response. Spirit, though, is spooling up those barracks quite quick. Wait, did he only build... He built 4 Hellions in total. So really focused on getting that production up. 6 barracks in production. Wow. Doing exactly the opposite of what I suspected. Instead, going for... This is kind of like the equivalent of a charge lot all-in. That is a obscene amount of Marines he's going to be putting on the field. Interesting that Serral's going for a Roach Warren. He knows he's up against Bio and a Marine push. He's chosen Roaches instead of Ling Bane as the response. I wonder if that's map dependent. like on Frostline, you can easily get Zerglings in to pretty much any of the base. Whereas Neon Violet Square is a much greater effort. So Roaches give you options for Ravagers. He actually kills the tank. Wow. The hero Zerglings. Taking out the most important unit for Spirit that he's built so far. That was his only siege tank. Alright, I don't think he had insurance on that thing. Hellions have barely stalled out the creep at all. Viking has managed to get one kill, now working out another, but the Queens. Get off my creep! We're nearby the creep. There's a no-fly zone. And we're in it. Nice self-deprecating humor, Karen. Oh, thank you. All right, I'm trying to turn a corner. Okay, stop. Overseer's taken down. Spirit, stop hitting the stims. His Marines are in autumn colors from stimming already. I mean, just one stim will do that, but Medevacs are coming out. He was chasing down the Overseer. I don't think he suspected a Nidus. I think he just really wanted to kill the Overseer, but... How many racks now? We got 7 racks with reactors. Not quite an Octo racks here. Usually you still have just a few naked racks with the Octo racks, so... He's got 60 SCVs, and it doesn't look like he's building more, but that might be because he's supply blocked, so... Lurker Den. Hive on the way. Wow, Serral's going to have a hive at 7.5 minutes. Lurkers with range on the way. Here comes... Oh, the tanks can't get through the squares. Looks like they got the wrong angle to combat the right ones, and... Well... Spirit, sending the tanks up to the high ground anyways. Still a dicey scenario, but the Lurkers are already done. Even if they don't have range, he might be able to just jump this army. The siege tanks getting into position. Gonna try, well, he may have been able to pick off the tank, but he almost certainly would have lost a critical mass of Roaches. 3 Ravagers on the way. Spirit is at exactly 60 SCVs. He is entirely focused on this push working. Those tanks are unsieged. Not again. He gets 1. The Marines are going to drop in the low ground, but he's divided himself. And that's the easiest way to get conquered. Oh, Spirit. He split his forces in twain, and the Lurkers may just do the rest for him. I feel like he got cold feet. And... Too scared of the Lurkers, and now Serral will have Vipers with energy. He has Lurker range. The tank count is down to 1 or 2 alongside this. The squares split your Marines. Thing is, you don't even necessarily want to split them in this scenario. Maybe against the Lurkers, yes, but... Spirit is... He's got to make something happen soon. Because as Serral starts to make... to add those Vipers into the active composition, it's only going to get more difficult. He's about as close to maxing out as he's going to get. He's got Liberators on the way. Oh, the Viper. Oh, that was the only Viper. He's building 3 now. Tom, Jerry, and Steve. A drop in the main. The Queen's knocked down a Medevac with no Marines inside. Another Medevac down. The Spore Crawlers forcing them to pay a massive toll here. But the Queens are going to be gunned down. The Lurkers are responding. He had to know that was going to happen. He splits. He stems. He's going for the Lurkers at the front. Serral scrambling to defend. The Marines are getting enough damage done. And Spirit has managed to shove Serral out of the way. The Lurkers. Oh, gutting the Marines. He will get the hatch. But the field runs red with the blood on both sides. The Medevacs, no survivors in the main, but the Liberator as well forced Serral to stop mining. Spirit now has the income lead. He's dropped mules, and Serral lost a hatch and wasn't mining from a base. corrosive bile. He hits his own lurker den on the way down, but lurker den has more HP than a liberator. That's a science fact. Is he gonna try to do a siege push? Well, he's trying to make sure he doesn't get jumped by lurkers here. The Marines are parading across the map. He's gonna go for it again, but now there's energy on the Vipers. Yanks a couple tanks. Easily takes him out. Serral, though, his supply is still a bit dicey. His 15 lurkers. 15 lurkers. That's enough to cover most of this. The Vipers. Oh, the Vipers were bait! Now the Liberators. There's actually no anti-air here. Here comes some Hydras. Double drop headed from the north side. And a lurker drop. There's just too many lurkers. Spirit either needs to find a location to actually get the damage on a Ghost Academy. He just burrows one lurker. He's trickling out the lurkers. And there's just no easy way to deal with them. He's splitting them so it's, well, scans have quite a radius. He scrambles into the corner, slightly out of scan range. Another lurker. It's like a Widowmine drop, but way more expensive. When Spirit pulls entirely off the field, he's losing SCVs. His only advantage was holding that position right outside Serral's base, where he can force, maybe not mistakes, but bad trades at the very least. Serral cancels nanomuscular swell in favor of getting Hydra range. I guess he did. He was so focused on getting lurkers, he didn't even have the Hydra upgrades before. Well, he hasn't really had Hydras as part of the composition until now. That's so many. There's 76 Marines. Somehow, though... Okay. I was wondering if he'd have the army on, or the lurkers on hold fire. But just making sure he could zone out. Well, he moved around all the way to the top side of the base without Spirit noticing. And where could he... I guess we're base trading. The lurkers have moved into position, slicing into the Marines. The supply is dwindling while Serral is maxed out. The lurkers... Wait, can they get through the squares? They cannot. Wait, yes they can. Filtering through. Not again. One more drop for the road, but the medevac full of Marines is knocked out of the sky. There are lurkers in the main. The tanks will be cut to pieces, to shreds, I say. Blinding cloud. Serral came back to defend. He still has lurkers gutting the economy. And there's just nothing left here. GG. Serral with a comprehensive 3-0 sweep. Spirit showing why his mechanics are top-notch, but Serral just knew every single game. Well before Spirit did any sort of push, exactly what Spirit was going to do. He had multiple minutes to prepare a handcrafted artisanal response. And that response was decisive and overwhelming. It may have taken 20 minutes in game 1 for his advantage to turn into a victory. But against the much more malleable Marines in games 2 and 3, Serral able to turn it around more quickly. And that concludes a decisive victory for the finisher. And shows, well, there's only one who can still really compete with him. Spirit, a great effort, but Serral, still the greatest. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to check out Take TV from Homestory Cup with Homestory. You got it. As well as if you got the means of motivation, you also check out Patreon or YouTube membership. But I hear liking and subscribing is still free, at least for now. So thank you for watching. I hope I made your day a little bit better. I'll see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill.